The silent arrival. The observation deck of Unity Prime Station hummed with its usual gentle rhythm. Thousands of beings from across the collective moved through the vast corridors, their lives intertwined in the careful peace that had defined the galaxy for generations. Ambassador Kelran stood before the panoramic viewport, his crystalline form refracting the light of distant stars. He had served the collective for 70 cycles, witnessing countless ships arrive and depart, but nothing had prepared him for what was about to unfold. The alarm was subtle at first, a soft pulse of amber light across the monitoring stations. Junior Technician Mira, a young Velen with 6 delicate limbs, looked up from her console with confusion creasing her features. She had been trained to recognize every signature in the galactic database, but this was something entirely different. Ambassador Kelran, we have an anomaly. Myra's voice carried across the command center, drawing the attention of the dozen specialists who maintained the station's awareness of surrounding space. The energy signature is massive, and it does not match any known vessel configuration in our records. Kelran moved with practiced grace toward the central display, his form shifting to accommodate the lower platform. Around him, the command center came alive with activity. Screens flickered with data streams, and the ambient lighting shifted to a more focused blue, indicating elevated alert status. "Show me," he commanded, his voice resonating with calm authority. The main holographic display materialized above them, showing a 3-dimensional representation of the space surrounding Unity Prime. At the edge of their sensor range, a single contact pulsed with an ominous red glow. The vessel was enormous, easily dwarfing the largest collective transport ships. Its trajectory was precise, deliberate, and aimed directly at their position. Size analysis indicates the object is approximately 4.2 kilometers in length. Myra's fingers danced across her interface, pulling up additional data. Hull composition suggests heavy metallurgical construction, far denser than standard civilian specifications. Ambassador, I am detecting power signatures consistent with defensive systems and propulsion technology that operates outside our conventional understanding. Kelran felt a ripple of concern pass through his consciousness. The collective had enjoyed peace for so long that the very concept of a heavily armed vessel seemed like an artifact from ancient history. Yet here before them was something that clearly prioritized strength and durability over the aesthetic elegance that defined collective engineering. Attempt communication on all standard frequencies. Kelran ordered, identify yourself according to diplomatic protocols. Inform them they are approaching protected space and must declare their intentions. The communications officer, a towering Braxton named Thorn, activated the transmission array. His deep voice carried the weight of official authority as he broadcast the standard greeting in 17 different languages, covering every known spacefaring civilization in the galactic registry. For several long moments, there was only silence. The mysterious vessel continued its approach, neither accelerating nor slowing, maintaining a steady course that would bring it within visual range in less than an hour. Kelran watched the display intently, his mind racing through countless scenarios and protocols. The collective had procedures for unexpected visitors, but those procedures assumed a level of familiarity with galactic norms that this vessel clearly did not possess. Then the response came. The voice that emerged from the speakers was unlike anything Kelran had heard before. It carried a roughness, a quality that suggested fatigue and determination in equal measure. The translator struggled for a moment before finding the linguistic patterns and rendering the words. Comprehensible. Unity Prime Station. This is Commander Sarah Chun of the Earth Defense Force warship Eternal Vigilance. We acknowledge your transmission and apologize for any alarm our arrival may have caused. We are human, and we come seeking temporary sanctuary and the possibility of peaceful contact. The command center fell into stunned silence. Human. Word appeared nowhere in the collective's extensive database of known species. Kelleran exchanged glances with his senior staff, seeing his own surprise reflected in their varied expressions. Commander Chun, this is Ambassador Kelleran of the Collective Council. Your species is unknown to us, and your vessel's configuration is highly unusual. We must ask the nature of your journey, and your intentions within our space. There was a pause before the human commander responded, and when she did, Kelleran detected something in her voice that transcended language barriers. It was exhaustion, yes, but beneath that lay an unbreakable core of resolve. Ambassador Kelleran, humanity has recently emerged from a conflict that threatened our very existence. 6 months ago, our star systems were invaded by a hostile force we came to call the Ravagers. They showed no interest in communication or negotiation. Their only purpose seemed to be conquest and destruction. We fought them across 12 worlds, losing billions of our people in the process. Kel Ron listened intently as Commander Chun continued. Around him, the command staff worked quietly, pulling up star charts and scanning the approaching vessel with every sensor at their disposal. The ship's battle damage became more apparent as it drew closer. Scorched armor plating, sections that had been hastily repaired with mismatched materials, and weapon systems that showed signs of extensive use. The Eternal Vigilance was one of 5 dreadnoughts constructed during the final year of the war. We were humanity's last line of defense, designed to hold the line while our civilian populations evacuated. Of those 5 ships, mine is the only one that survived. We defeated the Ravagers, but the cost was devastating. How did your conflict end? Kelleran asked, his voice gentle but firm. We won, Commander Chun replied simply. Humanity developed new technologies, new strategies. We learned to adapt faster than our enemy could anticipate. But victory came at a terrible price. Our homeworld is scarred, our colonies are rebuilding, and we find ourselves alone in a galaxy we barely understand. We detected your station during a long-range survey and hoped that perhaps we might find others who value peace as much as we now do. Kelleran made a decision that would echo through the coming cycles. Stand by, Commander Chun. I am convening an emergency session of the Station Council. You have my word that no hostile action will be taken while we deliberate. Please maintain your current position. Understood, Ambassador. We will await your decision. The transmission ended, leaving the command center in thoughtful silence. Within the hour, Kelleran found himself standing before the full Station Council. Holographic projections of senior representatives from 24 species filled the circular chamber, each one studying the image of the human warship that rotated slowly in the center of the room. The Eternal Vigilance was a monument to survival, every scar telling a story of desperation and determination. Counselor Vex, a methodical Quintari known for his analytical mind, spoke first. The vessel's capabilities are formidable. Based on our scans, it possesses weapons technology that exceeds anything in our defensive arsenal. The question we must ask ourselves is whether we can risk allowing such power near our station. Asterisk, but they come seeking peace, countered Counselor Cinch, her empathic abilities making her particularly sensitive to the emotional undertones in Commander Chun's transmission. I sensed no deception in the human's words, only genuine exhaustion and hope. They have survived something terrible and wish to find a place in a larger galactic community. We know nothing about their conflict with these Ravagers, added Counselor Bren, his concern evident. What if this enemy follows them here? What if we inadvertently draw ourselves into a war? Kelleran raised his hand, calling for silence. My friends, we face a choice that will define us. The collective was founded on principles of cooperation, understanding, and the peaceful exchange of knowledge. Here before us is a species that has fought for its survival and emerged victorious, yet they do not come with demands or threats. They come with hope. He gestured to the image of the Eternal Vigilance. Yes, This ship represents military might that we have not seen in generations. But it also represents a people who value that which they protect enough to fight for it. I propose we extend the hand of friendship. Invite Commander Chun and our delegation aboard. Hear their full story. And then we decide together what role humanity might play in our galactic community. The vote was close, but ultimately, the Council's founding principles won out. Kelleran returned to the command center and opened a channel to the waiting warship. Commander Chun, the Collective Council welcomes you to Unity Prime Station. We invite you and a small delegation to come aboard so that we might speak face to face and learn more about humanity and your journey. Prepare your shuttle. We await your arrival. Thank you, Ambassador Kelleran. The relief in Shun's voice was palpable. We will not disappoint your faith in us. As Kelleran watched the human shuttle detach from the massive warship and begin its approach to the station, he felt the weight of history settling upon this moment. The galaxy was about to meet humanity, and nothing would ever be quite the same. The truth revealed. The docking bay fell silent as the human shuttle settled onto the landing platform. Ambassador Kelleran stood at the forefront of the welcoming delegation, surrounded by representatives from a dozen collective species. Security personnel maintained a respectful distance, their presence more ceremonial than threatening. Yet everyone in the bay understood the magnitude of this moment. First contact with an unknown species was rare enough. But first contact with a species that arrived in a warship was unprecedented in recent memory. The shuttle's boarding ramp descended with a mechanical hiss, and Kelleran got his first glimpse of humanity. Commander Sarah Chun emerged into the soft light of the docking bay, and the ambassador found himself studying her with intense curiosity. She was bipedal, similar to several species in the collective, standing roughly 1.8 meters tall. Her skin was a warm brown tone, and dark hair was pulled back in a severe military style. But it was her eyes that captured Kelleran's attention. Deep brown eyes that held both profound sadness and unwavering determination. Behind her came 6 others, each wearing the same dark blue uniform, marked with insignia that Kelleran's translator identified as military rank designations. They moved with disciplined precision, their posture straight despite the obvious exhaustion that lined their faces. These were people who had survived horrors, yet they carried themselves with dignity and purpose. Ambassador Kelleran, Commander Chun said, her voice strong despite the weariness Kelleran could sense beneath it. On behalf of humanity and the crew of the Eternal Vigilance, I thank you for this opportunity. We come in peace, seeking only understanding and the chance to prove ourselves worthy of joining the galactic community. Kelleran stepped forward, extending his crystalline appendage in the gesture of welcome that the collective had used for centuries. Commander Chun, you and your people are welcome here. We have prepared a chamber where we might speak openly. There is much we wish to learn about humanity, and I suspect much you wish to learn about us. The journey through Unity Prime Station seemed to affect the human delegation deeply. Kelleran watched as their eyes widened at the sight of the vast interior gardens where Velen architects had created ecosystems that floated in carefully controlled gravity fields. They stared in wonder at the market districts where hundreds of species traded goods and knowledge in peaceful exchange. And when they passed a school where young beings from 20 different worlds learned together, Commander Chun paused, her expression softening for the first time. This is beautiful, she said quietly. We had heard stories, theories about other civilizations, but we never imagined something like this. Such diversity, such cooperation. It is the foundation of everything we have built, Kelleran replied. The collective believes that our differences make us stronger, that every species brings unique perspectives and capabilities that enrich us all. They arrived at the Grand Assembly Hall, a circular chamber with tiered seating that allowed representatives from every member species to participate in important deliberations. Today, the hall was filled to capacity. Word of the human arrival had spread quickly, and curiosity had drawn observers from across the station. Holographic projections ensured that even those who could not physically attend could witness this historic meeting. Commander Chan and her delegation took their positions at the center of the chamber, surrounded on all sides by the gathered representatives. Kelran could see the weight of so many alien gazes affecting the humans. But Chun stood tall, her composure never wavering. Members of the collective. Kelran began, his voice amplified throughout the chamber. Today we welcome humanity, a species previously unknown to us, who have traveled far to seek peaceful contact. Commander Sarah Chun has agreed to share her people's story so that we might better understand who they are and what they have endured. Commander, the floor is yours. Chun took a deep breath, and when she spoke, her words carried to every corner of the vast hall. Humanity emerged into space only 2 centuries ago. We were explorers, scientists, dreamers who looked at the stars and wondered what might be waiting for us out there. We established colonies on 6 worlds within our local stellar cluster, each one a testament to human ingenuity and our desire to grow beyond our birthplace of Earth. She paused, and Kelran saw pain flicker across her features. Then, 8 years ago, they came. We called them the Ravagers because they left nothing but devastation in their wake. They appeared without warning at our furthest colony, New Shanghai. Within hours, a settlement was gone. 3 million people simply ceased to exist. A murmur rippled through the assembly. Such violence was almost incomprehensible to species that had known generations of peace. We tried to communicate. Chun continued. We sent every diplomatic signal we knew, offered negotiation, tribute, anything that might stop the slaughter. They never responded with words, only with weapons. They moved from New Shanghai to our mining colonies in the Kepler Belt, then to the agricultural world of New Terra. Each time, they took nothing. They simply destroyed. Counselor Vex leaned forward in his seat. What did these Ravagers look like? What was their technology? Chun nodded to one of her officers, who activated a portable holographic projector. The image that appeared above them showed a creature that seemed designed for violence. Roughly 3 meters tall, covered in dark chitinous armor, with multiple limbs that ended in blade-like appendages. Their ships were organic in appearance, grown rather than built, with weapons that fired concentrated biological agents that consumed metal and flesh alike. They operated with hive mind efficiency. Chun explained. No individual identity, no hesitation, no mercy. They adapted quickly to our tactics, learning from each engagement. For 6 years, we fought a losing battle. We evacuated what populations we could, but billions died. Earth itself came under siege 3 times. How did you survive? The question came from Counselor Cinch, her voice filled with genuine concern. We adapted faster, Chun said simply. Humanity has always excelled at one thing: survival through innovation. Our military strategists, scientists, and engineers worked around the clock. We developed new weapons, new defensive systems. We learned to predict their attack patterns, to exploit the weaknesses in their hive communication network. She gestured to another hologram, this one showing the eternal vigilance in its prime, before the battle damage. We built 5 dreadnoughts, each one incorporating everything we had learned about fighting the Ravagers. These ships were more than weapons. They were mobile fortresses, capable of coordinating fleets, protecting civilian evacuation routes, and striking at the heart of Ravager formations. The final battle took place in orbit above Earth. Chun's voice grew quieter, more intense. They came with everything they had, 300 ships intent on ending humanity once and for all. We met them with our 5 dreadnoughts and what remained of our fleet. The battle lasted for 32 hours. Kelran watched as Chun's hands clenched into fists, the memory clearly still raw. When it was over, The Ravager force was destroyed. We had found their weakness, a specific frequency that disrupted their hive communication. Without coordination, they became confused, vulnerable. We drove them back, pursued them to their staging grounds in a dead system, and assured they could never threaten another world. And the cost? Kelran asked gently. 4 dreadnoughts lost. 60,000 crew members who will never return home. And a humanity that understands, perhaps better than we ever wanted to, what it means to face extinction. Chun's eyes swept across the assembled representatives. We did not come here to boast of our military achievements. We came because we are tired of war. We came because when we looked out into the galaxy and finally detected signs of other civilizations, we hoped that we might find peoples who valued peace as much as we now do. A new voice spoke from the upper tiers. It was Counselor Bren, his skepticism evident. You speak of peace, yet you arrive in a warship bristling with weapons. How can we trust that humanity will not use its obvious military superiority to dominate rather than cooperate? Chun met his gaze steadily. Because we know what war costs. Because we have seen our cities burn and our children orphaned. Because we have held dying friends in our arms and promised them that their sacrifice would mean something. She paused, letting her words sink in. The eternal vigilance is not a symbol of aggression. It is a reminder of what we survived and what we never want to experience again. She reached into her uniform and withdrew a small data device. During our long-range surveys, while searching for signs of intelligent life, we detected distress signals from 3 locations within what we now understand is collective space. We were too far away to intervene directly, but our analysis suggests these were automated emergency beacons from remote outposts. Kelran felt a chill run through his crystalline form. 3 months ago, we lost contact with several deep space research stations. We assumed it was equipment failure. Sean activated the data device, and new holograms appeared showing sensor logs, energy signatures, and trajectory analyses. Based on our experience with the Ravagers and the patterns we detected in your distress signals, I believe you were attacked by a Ravager scout force. They were testing your defenses, learning about your capabilities. We destroyed their main fleet, but smaller groups may have survived and scattered into unexplored space. The assembly erupted into concerned conversation. Kelran raised his hand for silence, his mind racing through the implications. You are suggesting that, by coming here, you may have saved us from an enemy we did not even know existed. It is possible, Chun acknowledged. The Ravagers follow a pattern. They scout, they analyze, and then they return in force. By destroying their primary hive, we may have prevented that final stage. But I cannot be certain. What I can offer is this: humanity's knowledge of fighting them, our technology, our experience. Not as conquerors, but as allies. Counselor Sinch stood, her empathic senses clearly affected by Chun's sincerity. I move that we accept humanity's petition to join the collective. They have demonstrated not only strength but wisdom, not only survival, but the desire for peace. They have potentially saved countless lives without even knowing it. How can we turn away such beings? The vote was called. One by one, the representatives cast their decisions. When the final tally appeared on the central display, Kelran felt a wave of relief. The measure had passed by a significant majority. Commander Sarah Chun, Kelran said formally, on behalf of the Collective Council, we welcome humanity as provisional members of our community. There will be cultural exchanges, technological sharing, and mutual learning ahead. But from this moment forward, you are not alone in the galaxy. Chun's composure finally cracked, and Kelran saw tears form in her eyes. Thank you, she said, her voice thick with emotion. You have given us something we thought we had lost, hope for the future. Over the following weeks, Unity Prime Station transformed into a hub of human collective cooperation. Scientists from both sides marveled at each other's technologies. Human defensive innovations were studied and adapted, while collective advancements in medicine and agriculture were eagerly absorbed by Chun's crew. Cultural exchanges saw humans attending Velan poetry gatherings and teaching collective members about Earth's rich artistic traditions. The Eternal Vigilance remained docked at the station, its weapons powered down, but its presence a reminder of both humanity's capacity for war and their commitment to peace. Engineers from a dozen species worked alongside human technicians to repair the battle damage, and in the process, friendships formed that would last generations. Kelran stood once more at his observation viewport, watching as a joint patrol of human and collective vessels departed on a mission to investigate the outer regions where the Ravagers had been detected. Beside him, Commander Chun gazed out at the stars with an expression of quiet contentment. "We came seeking sanctuary," Chun said softly. "We found something better. We found purpose, community, and the chance to ensure that what happened to us never happens to anyone else." Kelran's crystalline form shimmered with satisfaction. "The collective is stronger for your presence, Commander. You have reminded us that peace must sometimes be defended, that strength and compassion are not opposites, but complements." As they watched the stars together, human and alien standing side by side, a new chapter in galactic history began. Humanity had arrived not as conquerors but as guardians, not as overlords but as partners. And the galaxy, having witnessed the determination of the human spirit, understood that it had gained not just new members, but defenders who would stand against the darkness with unwavering resolve. The Eternal Vigilance, once a symbol of desperate survival, became a beacon of hope, proof that even from the ashes of war, cooperation and peace could flourish.